Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat nashtaprayasu abhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamasloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 8, title Attaining the Supreme, and verse number 11. I'll be sharing my presentation a little bit. I'm having some trouble with Zoom, so just bear with me and I'll get there. Yadakarsham Vedavida Vedanti Vishanti Yat Yatayo Vitaraga Yat Ichanta Brahmacharyam Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrena Pravasche. Yad Akarsham Vedavida Vedanti Vishanti Yat Vatayo Vitaraga Yad Ichanta Brahmacharam Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrahena Pravakshe. Word by word meaning. Yat, that which. Akarsham, syllable Om. Veda Veda, person conversant with the Vedas. Vadanti, say. Visanti, enter. Yat, in which. Yatayat, great sages. Vitaraga, in the renounced order of life. Yat, that which. Ichanta, desiring. Brahmacharyam, celibacy. Charanti, practice. Tat, that. Te, unto you. Padam, situation. Sangrahena, in summary. Prabhakshe, I shall explain. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Sri Krishna has recommended to Arjuna the practice of Sat Chakra Yoga, in which one places the air of life between the eyebrows, taking it for granted that Arjuna might not know how to practice Sat Chakra Yoga. The Lord explains the process in the following verses. Lord says that Brahman, although one without a second, has various manifestations and features, especially for the impersonalist. The Akshara or Omkara, the syllable Om, is identical with Brahman. Krishna here explains the impersonal Brahman into which the renounced order of sages enter. In the Vedic system of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught to vibrate Om and learn of the ultimate impersonal Brahman by living with the spiritual master in complete celibacy. In this way, they realize two of Brahman's features. This practice is very essential for the student's advancement in spiritual life. But at the moment, such brahmachari, unmarried celibate, life is not at all possible. The social construction of the world has changed so much that there is no possibility of one's practicing celibacy from the beginning of student life. Although there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. Unless one practices celibacy, advancement in spiritual life is very difficult. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced, according to the spiritual injunctions for the age of Kali, that is, in this age, no process of realizing the Supreme is possible except the chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataruvescha Kripa Sindhuveva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful evening Bhagavad Gita forum, where we take one verse at a time, and in doing so we discuss the verses and the themes which comes from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead so beautifully, and in doing so we help each other in our sadhana, in our understanding of the transcendental knowledge, which is so pure. And today in chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme, which I'm unable to share because of some technical difficulties in my computer, but I had prepared this slide where Lord is explaining very beautifully about Yad Aksharam Veda Vido Vedanti. Visanti Yat Yatayo Vitaraga. Vitaraga is actually a word which Krishna has used before. And then Yat Ichanta Brahmacharayam Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrahena Prabhakshe. So beautifully, Krishna is explaining that persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara. Omkara is the letter which appears before all the Vedas and Upanishads and all the spiritual texts, because it is considered to be very, very auspicious. And Krishna in Bhagavad Gita has spoken, I am the letter Om. And then he says, who are great sages in the renounced order of life entered into Brahman. So here Krishna is giving a very impersonal aspect, because in order to really showcase the different aspects of liberation, Krishna is presenting to Arjuna all the possibilities of going back to the Godhead. And here the renounced order of maintaining celibacy and in entering into Brahman is being discussed by Krishna. And then Krishna goes on to say, desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. So with the element of detachment, wherein you do not get influenced with the different modes of nature, you practice the aspect of detachment, where you do not get entangled with any relationship. And then as you master that process, then you attain salvation. And Krishna is just saying this as one of the possibilities. And why does Krishna say this? And Srila Prabhupada has taken it to a different level. And he is explaining that there is the practice of Chakra Yoga. Chakra Yoga is actually a system where in our body we have the life air, right? Where we have the prana vayu. That life air is located in one place, and by virtue of controlling that life air, there are 7 chakras. The crown chakra, which is the tip of the head. Then you have the third eye chakra, which is somewhere near behind the forehead in the brain. And then you have the throat chakra near the throat. Then we have the heart chakra, which is near the heart, and the solar plexus chakra, which is slightly in the spine area, and then sacral chakra and root chakra, which is towards the lower parts of the body. So these 7 chakras are there, in our body. And then Krishna uses the word Om. Actually, he says in Bhagavad Gita 7.8, he says, Pranava Sarva Vedesu. That means I am the syllable Om in the Vedic literature. In Bhagavad Gita 7.8, Krishna says, I am the Om. And that Om appears is a spiritual symbol which appears in almost all the sacred Vedic text. So in our philosophy, quite a lot of devotees, they think the Om signifies the essence of ultimate reality, which is Param Brahma, which is consciousness, which is Paramatma. And Om is the most important spiritual symbol, which is often found in the beginning and end of the chapters in Vedas, Upanishads, and various different sacred texts. And chakras, as Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about the 7 chakras, when Krishna is referring to Arjuna about this process of controlling the life wind along the chakra. So more upward, we keep our pranavayu along with the chakras, we go into a higher planetary system. And if we're not able to control the pranavayu in the upper chakras and we take it towards the lower chakras, we probably go into the lower. We discussed some time back about the 12 lokas, where we are in the Bhuloka, we are in the 7th, and 7 above are the heavenly planetary systems, and 7 below. So 6 above and the Bhuloka 7, and the 7 below are the lower planetary systems. So depending on where the life air is, we tend to go into a different loka in our subsequent lives. And that is the reason why the impersonalists, they try to control that vayu so that it stays up. So when it stays up, it actually transmigrates your subsequent life, that you're put in a body in a upper loka. So that's why the people who are impersonalist, they often resort to doing the controlling of the life air around the upper chakras. I mentioned about the 7 chakras. So the technique of breathing and visualization, the mudras, the kriyas and mantras are focused on manipulating the flow of the subtle energy through the chakra so that you keep those along the upper chakras I mentioned. And as you know, Lord Krishna has mentioned, Lord Krishna has come in various different forms in the past. There are 20 plus incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why I wanted to explain about the incarnation is as follows. So we have the Purusha avatar, the Karanodakshaya Vishnu, who is Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. That's one kind of avatar. So there are 6 kinds of avatars. One is Purusha avatar. And then we have the Leela avatar. There are Kumaras, Narada, Varaha, Matsya, and so many of them who are the Leela avatars. And then we have the Guna avatars, who are actually Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. And then we have the Manvantara avatar, where they are associated with the reign of each Manu. There are different Manu, which and based on them, then they have the Manvantara avatars. And then we have the Yuga avatar, the Satya Yuga, the incarnation of the Lord is white. Treta Yoga, he is red, and Dwapara Yuga, he is blackish. And in Kali Yuga, his color is yellowish, which is none than our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the 6th avatar is the Saktavesha avatar, who are basically devotees who have done exemplary service for the Lord, like Kapiladev. The Seshanag is another example, Anantadev, who have served the Lord. Lord Brahma is one of the Saktavesha avatar, and four Kumaras, they are Saktavesha avatar. Narad Muni is a Saktavesha avatar, and Prithu and Parshuram, they are Saktavesha avatar. And why did I say this? Because Lord Krishna is not a avatar, he is an avatar. He is the source of all avatars. And in Brahma Samhita, it is mentioned that Vedeshu Durlava Adurlavam Atma Bhaktu. That means Lord is inaccessible through Vedas. If we think we can master the Vedas and reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is not going to happen, because Lord is beyond all the Vedas. But Lord, as you have seen in this Brahma Samhita 5.33 words, Lord can only be attained by devotional service, not by Vedesu Durlabham Adurlabham. Lord cannot be understood through the Vedas. That's why the people who often follow the Vedas often look at the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is where Brahmaji is sweetly mentioning Vedese Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktu. That means Lord is inaccessible through the Vedas, but are obtainable by pure unalloyed devotional service. And if you think about why I wanted to talk about it, is when there was people started misusing Vedas, then Lord Buddha, around 2,500 years ago, came and made everyone not to follow the Vedas, and they're professing that we should not be sort of killing animals, we should not be torturing animals, because people started misusing the Vedas before Lord Buddha came, and that made the spreading of Buddhism for close to 700, 800 years. And then when Shankaracharya, who was the incarnation of Lord Shiva, came in the 8th century, he lived only for 31 years, but he recognized the importance of Vedas, and he sort of excavated Vedas from getting extinct, and he got everyone aware of the Vedic philosophy. But the reason why we want to discuss a little bit about that is, even if Shankaracharya, who has written so many, the Vishnu Sahasran, has written so many nice texts in various different forms, where he is actually, if you look internally, he is a very much a personalist in the form of how he has glorified Govinda, the person Govinda, who is very dear to the cows. Or he has written many Astakams, Jagannath Astakam he has written, where he explains the beauty of Lord Jagannath. Shankaracharya has written so beautifully, and many Astakams for that matter. But his personal form of appreciating the Supreme Personality of Godhead didn't come up the way we have analyzed it. We, as the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we understand the personal angle Shankaracharya brought onto the table. But somehow, at the 8th century, when he was up against the impersonalist, the personal aspect didn't come up when he was trying to excavate the Vedas. And Madhvacharya in the 12th century, who was the expansion of Hanuman, he started the Brahma Sampradaya, then Nimbakacharya started the Kumar Sampradaya, the 4 Kumaras who wanted to stay celibate from Brahma ji, who was the Manasaputras of Brahmaji. He started the Kumar Sampradaya. Then Vishnu Swami started the Rudra Sampradaya. And now Ramanujacharya started the Sri Sampradaya. So Brahma, Kumara, Rudra, Sri Sampradaya, those are the four bona fide Sampradayas. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who started the chanting of the holy name, love for Godhead, in the 15th century, is our direct lineage from Madhavacharya, being that's why we are called Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. So the reason why I wanted to discuss this is the evolution of various different lineages, the evolution of many different avatars, around 20 plus, we just discussed the 6 kinds of avatar. They clearly illustrate our a angle by which we can generate the love for Godhead. And that is a very personal form of appreciating the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But here Krishna is explaining a aspect of liberation to Arjuna, but he is just not saying this is the best. What Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18.55, Bhaktyamam abhijananti. That means only as a devotee you can understand me. Only by pure devotional service you can understand me. Bhaktyamam abhijananti. 18.55. Krishna mentions that. Why does Krishna says this? And wherein in 8.11, which we are discussing today, Krishna is discussing about all the aspects of Om and Chakras. So that is the contrast I wanted to bring to everyone's attention by saying that people who are too much focused in the learning of the Vedas, they utter Omkara and they try to maintain celibacy. But in this age of Kali, it's very, very difficult to undertake that. And that is the reason why, in one side, Krishna is giving a perspective about the Vedas and about the pious letter Om and the importance of all of that in our sadhana. However, to take it forward, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that in this age of Kali, that is, in this age, no process of realizing the Supreme is possible except the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Kevalam, Kalo Naste, Vanaste, Vanaste, Vagati Anyatha. So the reason is the contrast we really want to discuss today. Otherwise, we are never going to understand unless we know the difference between right and wrong. We will not be able to pick the right thing. So, so this verse, very, very powerful verse, but Krishna is explaining the impulse, because Krishna is not unfair to anyone. If Brahman, people who believe in the Jnana angle, seeing the Lord as the Supreme Brahman, Krishna is not going to disappoint them. But that is where Krishna is saying they are not incorrect, they are incomplete. And that is the difference we really want to bring, that whenever Jnanis and Yogis, they look for the localized expansion or in the effulgence, whenever they do that, that is also a fractionally correct angle, but it is not the complete angle. As we discussed last time about getting a letter from our mom and doing a FaceTime from our mom and serving the mom right then and there alongside in India or wherever your mom is. So that is the difference. And in order to really sort of decipher that, we will discuss a very beautiful pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's interaction with Prakashananda Saraswati. And I thought the relevance of the evolution of the different lineage. We talked about the four sampradayas, the four bona fide sampradayas. That's the reason why we have to understand which lineage we have to pick. Are we picking the right lineage? Because there are only four bona fide sampradayas, and we are one of the bona fide sampradaya. We're the descendants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we have understood that from the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. So, as Krishna says, Evam Parampara Praptam. That means we can only understand through Parampara. And what is a bona fide Parampara? These are the four bona fide Parampara. If you're looking for options to get the Supreme Personality of Godhead or get access to Supreme Personality of Godhead through the love you extended yesterday when you created a mountain of food, it was a sincere reciprocation. When you saw so many people, the altar was dazzling with sheer beauty, and you could sense the happiness people were. They were jumping in joy because you extended that element of reciprocation for the Lord, and Lord was giving his sweet darshan in front of everybody with so beautiful glance. So when in Manaras, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once there was a Mayavadi sannyasi named Prakashananda Saraswati, and he was questioning that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is so knowledgeable, he is the Pandit of Nadia, but he's always, dancing in the streets and singing in the streets. He is not really spending a lot of time in the understanding of the Vedanta Sutra. And so Prakashananda Saraswati, as you know, Saraswati is a very highly recognized Brahmana, and in their lineage, it is considered Mother Saraswati to be the knowledge giver, and Mother Saraswati is very potent in the Shastras. So, so when Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Banaras, and he was looking so beautiful. He was having beautiful glances, and he was dancing and singing in the streets of Banaras. At the same time, the thousands of followers of Prakashananda Saraswati were questioning why is he doing that. And then a meeting was arranged, and Mahaprabhu went and sat at a lower level, and he says, I have taken to Sankirtan movement instead of the study of Vedanta because I am a great fool. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells this sitting at a lower position to Prakashananda Saraswati. And he mentions that, because his focused understanding after getting initiation from Ishvara Puri is, he says, I am from a lower level initiate. So you might consider the dancing and singing to Prakashananda Saraswati as a lower form of aligning with the Supreme. And then there was a conversation between Prakashananda Saraswati and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Vedanta Sutra consists of transcendental words uttered by Supreme Personality of Godhead and should always be glorified. And he says, Sankaracharya's interpretation has no direct bearing on the sutra, and therefore such commentation spoils everything. So essentially, when somebody takes Shankaracharya, who is Lord Shiva himself, and tries to apply commentary on it, it doesn't come up with the right meaning. And everything that is in the spiritual world is full of transcendental bliss, including the form, body, place, and paraphernalia of the Lord. And anyone who accepts the transcendental body of the personality of Godhead as something mundane certainly commits the greatest blasphemy. And he says, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, whenever I chant the glories of the Lord by chanting this Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, my hair stands up, my tears comes out of my eyes. I jump in joy because Lord is no different from his name. And when that transformation takes place, I cannot just stop dancing. and I cannot resort to analyzing the Vedanta Sutra, studying in a bookish knowledge, rather than apply it by making a feeling. So that's why bhakti is an expression of a feeling, and it's not a bookish thing. And this Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita classes is not intended to be a bookish intent. It is just getting the principles right so that we understand and seek the blissfulness we derive while chanting or doing kirtan or doing the arati. So essentially, that is the real practical aspect of our sadhana. So when that happens, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, and when Prakashananda Saraswati heard that, he got transformed. And all the followers of Prakashananda Saraswati, the thousands of followers of Prakashananda, suddenly they all converted and they all surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they all came in the path of bhakti, and they all became our lineage. They joined our lineage. So Lord Krishna says, Bhakta mam abhichananti. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And there is no other way, and no other way. So as you can see, the conversion of devotees or disciples of Prakashananda Saraswati, along with Prakashananda Saraswati, happened in Banaras 500 years ago by sheer faith, belief, expression of the feeling of love for Godhead by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that too through humility when he sat at a lower level. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are some beautiful exchanges. You can just go on and on when you discuss about the dialogue between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Prakashananda Saraswati, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has taken it to such a beautiful level. Once we start analyzing that, it will be wonderful for all of us to appreciate that. So even if Lord Krishna is explaining about the Vedic aspects as a precursor, as you will see in the future classes, Lord Krishna is telling all the aspects to Arjuna, and finally telling what to pick, what is the highest. So this verse, even if it may sound, Krishna is talking a lot about Vedas and Omkara, but he's just giving a precursor to Arjuna about what's coming forward, so that when we recognize the importance of all of that, we start appreciating the bhakti or the devotional life in comparison to the other practices, and how we can get benefited by this this devotional process we all are into. The personalized devotional process we are into, not the impersonal aspect. So with that, I'd like to end here. Sorry, I couldn't share the slide because Zoom was not popping up. But more importantly, at least we spent some quality time discussing about the various different avatars and the various different lineages, and how it applies to understanding this beautiful verse in the context of bhakti. So with that, I'd like to end here. If you have any comments, please go ahead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hemajaganath. A wonderful class, lots of important points. One can attain the higher state from our lowest mode of this ignorance. so that we can all attain the pure bhakti. Thank you so much, Hemajaganath Prabhu. So let's have some discussion. Are there any questions, concerns, comments? Please open it up.
Yeah,
If you have
Hare
any,
Krishna.
go ahead.
Yeah, I have one question, Prabhu. So, yeah, as we chant Hare Krishna, we feel the peace and happiness with only the chanting. But in Dwapara Yuga, Krishna is physically present. But why Duryodhana behaves like that in presence of Krishna? So, like Pandavas identified Krishna is God, but what is the reason that Duryodhana is not able to identify? Uh, so just I would like to get some more details. What is the background? Why Duryodhana, even though Krishna says something, he did not listen. So can you please explain, Prabhu?
Yes, so very nice question, very nice comment, Prabhu. So Duryodhana, as you know, was a person who was actually full of ahankar. Actually, he had a lot of envy, and Indradumna Maharaj says beautifully. He says that in order for us to transmigrate to a higher aspect of loving God, we have to get rid of all anarthas, and envy is the biggest anartha we have. So Duryodhana was full of envy. He just couldn't stand Lord, the Pandavas' proximity to to Krishna. And secondly, uh, we have discussed in one of our prior classes, Prabhu, Duryodhana is not a uh, person who lacked knowledge. He's very knowledgeable. He is actually very conversant in various artillery systems, but his only thing is he's unable to accept. So as you saw, one of the notes which was sent in our group some time back.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for answering. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Krishna is actually very Krishna consciousness. Just to add to Krishna consciousness is a very simple process, but because of our so-called, ahankar, our envy, we do not accept it. And once we get rid of it, uh, the simple process will be easily acceptable because it's a simple process. But in this Kali Yuga, we are not simple. That's why we do not accept the simple process of chanting and so on. So just to mention that he was filled with envy and ahankar, and that is why he couldn't accept. Thank you, Prabhu, for asking.
Anybody else has anything to add? Okay, thank you. Otherwise, let's go for the Damodara Ashtakam. Let me share the screen. Can everybody see it? Hare Krishna. Okay,
Yes, Prabhu. We are able to see.
very nice. Who would be able to sing today? Hemajaganath Prabhu, you want to sing?
No, Prabhu, you please go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. श्री राधा दामोदर जी की जय। नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपम् लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम्। Everybody can.
Rameshwaram
Satchidanandarupam Rasatkundalam Gokule Brajamanam
यशोदाभियोलुका लाघवमानम् परामृष्टमत्यन्द तो धृत्य गोप्या
Yashodabhiyolukhalagamanam Paramrishtamatprantadodritagopya.
So please go ahead with the translation.
To the Supreme Controller who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistering earrings ring to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging on the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances.
रुदन्दं मुहुर्नेत्र युग्मं रजन्दम् कराम्भोजयुग्मेन सादङ्गनेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकम्बात्रिरेकङ्गकण्डा स्थितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धम् Please read.
Upon seeing his mother's sweeping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick. And as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright and his pearl necklace shook. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances.
इति त्रिक्सुलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे सुघोषं निमज्जन्दम् आख्यापयन्दम्
Riksvalila Agosham Himachandam Akhyapayantam
तदीयेषिदास्नेषु भक्तिर्जिदत्वम् पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सदा वृत्तिवन्दे
Yeshadasneshu Bhaktir Prema Shatavriti Vande.
Please read.
Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drowned the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who are attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayan and Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Damodar, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yeah. Varam deva moksham na moksham vadim va na chanyam vrineham vare sadapiha.
Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksham Vadima Na Chanyam Runeham Pareshatapriya.
Idam deva purnada gopala balam सदा मे मनस्या वीराष्ट्रं किमन्ये
इदं देव पुरनाथ गोपाल बालम् सदा मे मनसा व्यस्तं किमन्ये.
Please read.
O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart.
Jai. Thank you. Idam te mukambhojam atyanda nile mridam kundalai snigdha rektascha gopya
इदं ते मुखं भोजम् अत्यन्तनीलम् वृद्धं कुन्तले स्निग्धरक्तश्च गोप्या.
मुहुश्चुम्बिदं बिम्बारक्ताधरं मे मनस्या विरास्तं आलं लक्षलाभे
चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तधरं मे मनस्या विरक्तं कालं लक्षलाभे. O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus plate, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimba fruits, like due to the mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind.
Jai. Namo Devadamoda Rananda Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukkha Jalabhimagnam
नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःख जलाब्धिमग्नम्.
Kripa Drishti Vrishyadhidinam Vedano Grihaneshamamajnam Edakshi Drishya
कृपा दृष्टि वृष्टाति दीनं मतानु गृहाणि क्षमामग्निदाति दृश्या.
Please read. Those are not read.
O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow and I am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me, uplift me, and protect me with your nectarian vision. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Jai. Kuveratmajau baddha murtaiva yadva Toya mojidau bhakti bhajau hridau cha
कुबेरात्मनो बुद्धामृतैव यस्वा त्वया मोचितो भक्तिमाजो कृतौ च.
Tada prema bhaktim sokame prayacha Namokshi griho meshti damodareha
तथा प्रेम भक्ति स्वमे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे गृहो मेस्ति दामोदरेह.
Go ahead.
O Lord Damodara, in your form as a baby mother, Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kubera, Manigriva and Nalakubera, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in the same way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence.
Yeah. नमस्तेस्तु धाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोधरायाध विश्वास्य धाम्ने
Namaste Sudhamne Spuradiptidhamne Adiyadharayata Vishwasyaramne
नमो राधिकायाय त्वदीय प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Tuvyam
नमो राधिकायाय त्वदीय प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Tuvyam
नमो राधिकायाय त्वदीय प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Tuvyam
Cheda Mataji, you didn't read the translation? Are you there?
Hare Krishna, Babaji. Yes.
Please
O
read.
Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope, I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastimes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar Radhe.
Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe
Jaya Radha Shyama Sundar Radha Shyama Sundar Radha Shyama Sundar Radhe.
Jaya
Jaya
Radha
Radha
Shama
Shyama
Sundar
Sundara
Radha
Shama
Shama
Sundar Radha
Radha Shama Sundar Radhe
Gaura Premanande Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Thank you. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining today. Kartik month. Today is almost the 20th day, and I will continue for until next week. Thank you so much, and it's a very auspicious month, and even little bit of service, devotional service we perform that get multiplied by million times the benefits of it. So Kartik is very auspicious in any kind of devotional service. So thank you so much for joining today. And let's also thank Hemajaganath Prabhu for giving a wonderful class. Thank you, Hemajaganath Prabhu. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Also, thank you, dear devotees, for joining today. And let's pay our obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas by saying Vancha kalpatarubhasya कृपा
कृपा
सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। वंदना श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. I'm Anita Mataji. Ramya Mataji.
Yes. I was wondering. Yes. Yes, I still remember your name, Anita. Yes.
Okay.
Good
Hare
that you're there.
Okay.
So finally, good. Join every day, every week. So we have this everyday classes, Mataji.
Yes.
And also we would welcome Rahul Prabhu. Rahul Prabhu, I think first time joined, right, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah,
Hare
that's true.
Krishna.
And I apologize. I got late in joining.
No problem. That's okay. We are all working and we have so many things. But at least you could join today and participate in the Damodara Ashtagam, especially on this month of Kartik. So wonderful, so nice.
Yeah, I would say that thank you to all Dandavat Pranam because of the grace of all of you. I'm also able to listen some good words.
Wonderful. Very nice. Jai, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hemajaganath Prabhu, for a wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
Let's conclude today's session then. Vancha kalpatarubhasya.
Kripa sindhu bhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo